Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Crypto Pulse Weekly, our weekly navigation of the cryptocurrency markets and opportunities therein. As usual, we will be looking through the news items and analyzing the effects of the news and the events on the cryptocurrency markets. Without much ado, let us get into the meat of today's agenda. First, we look at the market updates as usual. Then we take a look at the crypto vital signs, and then we'll look at the technical analysis and take questions and answers. Welcome to everyone on Instagram and on Facebook, and for everyone following live on YouTube. Let's get started. So in terms of market updates for today and this week, few things seem to have happened during the course of the week. Looks like Bitcoin has been stopped out at 47K. I think there are so many major sellers at 47K trying to prevent a run on 50K, essentially. So we've seen huge sell walls at 47K, selling off into the markets. Also very important to bear in mind is that this week is the week Bitcoin 2022 week in Miami. Historically, when you have Bitcoin conferences like that, there tends to be a sell-off on the market, either by design or by happenstance. So I'm not surprised that we weren't able to cross the 47K Rubicon. However, I think the current market structure actually plays into our overall projections, which was made earlier in the year. And I will show that when we get to the technical analysis. Having said that, I think the 41, 42K resistance will hold, support will hold. And if it goes according to our projection, which is where I think it will, then it means we're headed back to 44K in the coming week, if not this weekend. In terms of regulation, in terms of sentiment, let's go to sentiment first. Sentiment appears bearish in the ultra short term. However, we're still having generally a higher low, and an ascending channel is now forming on a daily market structure. Having said that, from a regulatory standpoint, I think we're going to see some streams of regulation coming into crypto towards the later end of this year. Why do I say so? We've seen a barrage of regulations coming out of the European Union now, either against crypto or against people trying to use crypto to circumvent sanctions. While that is technically not sensible, there seems to be a lot of paranoia amongst the politicians in the European Union about Russia evading sanctions with the help of crypto. That's pretty much difficult to do, because for you to successfully evade sanctions, for very serious amounts of money, you will need centralized exchanges. And centralized exchanges now are pretty much KYC. Even the most, outlandish ones are now requesting for KYC. So I think it will be counterintuitive for anyone trying to evade sanction to want to go through, cryptocurrencies. It's too transparent for all it's worth. So it might not make sense. So I think that's where we're headed in terms of regulation. I think there'll be a lot of requests for KYC. There was, a very stupendous regulation from EU last week or 2 weeks ago, saying that people who provide custodial wallets should do KYC. That defeats the whole purpose of having custodial wallets, because custodial wallets are supposed to be yours and anonymous. So, having custodial wallets with KYC is as good as having a centralized exchange account. Just like I noticed, for instance, on my Coinbase wallet, that it wasn't allowing me to carry out transactions anymore because my Coinbase wallet had disconnected from Coinbase. So I closed my account with them. But it's not allowing me to send anything out of that account anymore. So what I've been doing is I've had to be connecting it through the web portal. Very funny mechanism. Anyway, that's just a side. That's just a side comment. But generally speaking, I think we'll see a lot of regulations coming, especially for cryptocurrency custody in the coming months and probably in the coming years as definitely in the coming years. So having said that, I think when we get to technical analysis, you see why I say I think we're still bullish. We've broken out of that ascending triangle that we were earlier in the year up until the beginning of the month. And we're now retesting it based on price action, and I'll show you that as well. We've retested 41K just before the hour before this meeting started. And because we're going into the weekend and it's a Bitcoin weekend, I think we're going to see a decent pump, probably back to 45 or 44, depending on how strong the pump is. Bearing in mind also that next weekend is the weekend of Easter. So is that this week or this next weekend, we're going to get that pump. It's almost invariable that we're going to get that, 10% daily candle of some sort, and then everybody goes crazy. Well, it's getting more and more imminent that we're going to get there now. So retail accumulation is still ongoing. Like I said, the hallmark of previous bear markets has been that retail activity just fizzles out completely. That hasn't happened in this bull run. So for some of us, it's very difficult to say that the bull run is over because the cardinal elements that will typify bull run activities are not there. So yes, price is not going up, but address activity on chain is going crazy. New addresses getting added, retail accumulation strongly growing, on exchange balances going down. Those are key matrices that tell us that activity is going on, even though the price is not reflective of those activities. Because of that, there's a disparity. And usually I tend to say this, that when there's a disparity between the real market price and the true value, one will catch up with the other at the end of the day. So right now, the price of Bitcoin is significantly undervalued because cost of production is 34K. At 34K, I mean, any decent organization will want to make anywhere between 10 and 20%. So at 34K, 10 and 20% will put Bitcoin at around 40K. So we'll say 40K is close to fair value. But when you add, other expenses and the margin that other players will want to put on it, usually you expect at the minimum, Bitcoin should be at 50K right now. So right now, I mean, Bitcoin is selling for a discount, much more than that. Altcoins are, at an exceeding discount. I've said this, I think I've said this more than 3 times this year, but I'm going to say it again because if you do what I tell you now, you will remember when the results come. And like I told somebody that if I took my own advice, I'll probably be a richer person than I am. I think that for all the altcoins you have, you should take a look at them. The ones that are falling the most, pick the top 3 or top 5 that are falling the most and do a direct dollar cost average. So if you bought an altcoin at $1 and it's selling at 20 cents now, I think you should buy the same value you put in originally. You should put in a gain for those altcoins, especially for serious altcoins. I'm not talking Dogecoin and meme coins. I'm talking proper blue collar coins, Solana, AVAX, Luna, CRO, BNB, serious tokens that have real live usage, that have proper team that we've talked about here. I think it is the time to buy them. And the reason is that the bulk of the money is made now. The bulk of the investment for you to become financially free needs to be made now. It needs to be made in this season when the prices are crazy. Why am I saying this today? I'll give you a very good example, just as a side. There was a token that was, I belong to a particular confidential investment group. And there was a token that was given about 2 years ago. As a matter of fact, I can't remember that. I didn't remember that token was given at the time. I think I didn't have money. So I never bought that token at the time. But when the token was given, it was given at about 20 cents. I did the calculation today because there was a notification that came out and said, you should consider taking some profit on this token. And I did the calculation, even if I had bought that token at 50 cents at the time, 100 units of that token, that's 2020 March. Of course, no, I wasn't thinking about tokens then because it was COVID time. So everything was so much in the disarray. And Bitcoin price, of course, went through the floor at the point. But at that point, the token was selling for 15 cents. So I said, even if I bought it for 20 cents, or let's say I bought it for 25 cents, 100 units will have been, what am I saying? 10 units will have been $2.50. 100 will have been $25. 500 will have been $125. So with $200, I could have gotten like 800 of that coin at that time. And yeah, with 200, you'll have gotten like 800. And with 300, you'll have gotten 1,000 plus of the token at that time. The token, at some point during the last 6 weeks, reached $100. So if you bought $200 worth and you had 800 units, just do the math. You had 800 units and it sold for $100. Yeah, that's the math. That's the math there and then. 800 units times $100. That's 80K from $300. Why have I talked about that? I mean, for full disclosure, it's Luna. Why have I made this analogy? I've made this analogy because so many people have been worried about their holdings, and people have said so many things. And I want you to understand the power of the things you have in your hand. Because even I did a sober reflection today to say, I never took this seriously at the time because I felt, okay, it was neither here nor there. And even if I just bought $100 worth, that would have been 400. That would have been 40,000 easy right now. And that's just 2 years, 24 months, exactly 24, 25 months ago. So look at all the coins you have. And I mean, for people in the subscription group, look at the coins I've given to you. Give them another 24 months and then do a reassessment of those tokens. The reason I'm saying this is because many a times you get too carried away by the volatility of price, and you sort of forget. It's just like life, that you get carried away by what's going on, that you forget what really matters, and then you're getting distracted like a cat following or a dog following a laser light. So it's important to be focused and understand that this is a very powerful potential investment. I mean, not potential, it's a powerful investment too. And you should be more focused on the long term, because the long term is where the gain is. It's not in the, get out and get rich. No, it's not get rich quick, but it's get rich for sure scheme. Because when you consider the staggering gains that many of these tokens make over a relatively short period of time, it becomes, obvious that, we're still early. We're still very early. I remember, CRO, we discovered CRO ourselves, myself and my friend, when CRO was like 3 cents. And we're saying to ourselves then that Monaco, which was MCO at the time, was expensive. And we're saying, okay, if we can't get Monaco because Monaco was expensive, let's get CRO. That CRO looks like, has potential, and because it's a exchange coin. And we didn't even know half of what they wanted to do with CRO at the time. So we got CRO, but I think I've told this story before. We got upset. A year later, I decided to sell at a loss. Guess what? If we never sold those CRO, and we decided to sell in November last year, we could have cashed out hundreds of thousands on CRO that we bought for how much? 30 cents, 3 cents, 10 cents. So take a good look at your portfolio and understand that this is the time to aggressively accumulate. I'm going to talk about, in our Manchester conference, I'm going to talk about, how to leverage on long term for increase in crypto. But I think it's just important that people realize that you should take a view for the long term. Last week, I talked about MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor, who has been buying Bitcoin since 2020 August, and they've now accumulated about 129,000 or thereabouts worth of Bitcoin. The value of their Bitcoin holding is double the value of the company right now, as it were. And the guy says something. He says, well, he's not a good trader, so he won't try to time the markets. However, he's sure that over a 10-year period, his bet is always right. And it's easy because when you compare the rate of deflation, inflation, let me use that one, the rate of inflation of fiat money versus the limited supply that you have in Bitcoin, it's just a matter of time. And believe you me when I say that we're still very early in this crypto matter. And the reason it looks like I'm sermonizing again tonight is I had a discussion with my lawyer during the week, and we're just talking about stuff. And he just out of the blue asked me about crypto. I'm like, how's your crypto now? You remember the last time we talked about, I said, oh, that's fine that I never really, like to talk about crypto to you guys because you seem to have a very bad idea about what crypto, and that, you had a lot of people that lost money in the 2008, 2017, 2018 bull run. Oh, he said, yes, that is now a convert, that is packed, that is a disciple. And he started reeling out stuff for me. I was just laughing. And he said that, so I said, what changed? He said his epiphany moment was when one of his clients, an older guy, told him that, sit down, Umar, sit down. Now, why are you wasting your life? That you are good with this law thing, but you've not considered how you can do this law with crypto and all that. And the guy, gave him the usual excuse that he gave me. And he said the guy literally dragged him and made him sit down and learn. And of course, the guy is very excited. I told him that, man, that was the greatest news I heard this week, because I'd been thinking like I need a lawyer for so many ideas that I had. And I had not seen one person who was a lawyer and was into crypto. But the guy so much gets it now I'm talking less than 2 years ago, from someone who was like completely averse, thought crypto was a Ponzi, thought it was a scam, to he was literally lecturing me on what tokens he was getting into and why. And I was just smiling that, oh yeah, this is so good that now I get it. And everybody needs to get it. We're all working our hearts out trying to better our lives for whatever reasons. It's important that we understand that there is a monetary revolution going on, and we need to be part of that revolution. We need to be actively involved. We need to be actively involved and make sure that we're in it. We're in it to win it, as they say. I'll move on. Let me stop my sermon before I finish my time slot today on sermonizing. This week is Bitcoin's conference in Miami. So every year there's a Bitcoin week conference that happens in Miami. Last year I think it was February. This year is obviously April 6 to 9. It's still ongoing. The reason I brought the story up was because there was a commentary, or there was a session in the Miami conference when they were talking about the evolution of what you call a super PAC. A super PAC is a super political action committee. They are like caucuses that people form in the United States to drive political agenda. So the guys are saying, you know what, let's form a political super PAC. To be honest, I think this super PAC is going to be the strongest and the richest super PAC in the United States of America in a very short period of time, because it's people who are heavily invested in Bitcoin that will be part of this super PAC. So it's obviously invariable that in a matter of 4 or 5 years, there will be extremely pro crypto and pro Bitcoin regulations coming out of the United States. Absolutely, because super PACs are what determine who get the monies for campaign, and politicians like the campaign money. So naturally speaking, they will want to do the biddings of whoever the super PAC is and the political leanings or anything they're asking for, really. So I won't be surprised if that's the case. Secondly, I talked about the Bitcoin conference. There's a news that caught my attention about Blockstream and another company that have a Bitcoin mining rig using Tesla's battery and solar infrastructure for mining. And I was sort of asking myself, why is this important? This is important because people have been saying that Bitcoin is not eco-friendly and it's not sustainable and all sorts of stuff. And I think this move would definitely pander to some people who are the eco-conscious guys and climate change people. Definitely, I expect that we'll see some gravitation towards that. So this is great news for the Bitcoin mining industry, and because people like Michael Saylor and the CEO of ARK Investments had already formed the Bitcoin Mining Council. So this will also generally further the cause of people who are interested in sustainable Bitcoins, as they say. Even though I think that's all political, but I think it's a good development, generally speaking. Moving on, I talked to you about Kraken last week. This one is just a side news. They're shutting down the San Francisco office. I hope they're okay, though. It sounded like some local problem, but I hope they're okay. Let me rush through this one. So a couple of interesting provinces and places suddenly accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. Sorry for the people on Instagram. My stand is messing up today. Oh, okay, I know why. I think I can fix that. Okay, that should be better. So a couple of small island nations and independent entities have all been coming up. I don't know if you've observed, but they've all been coming up with accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. First it was El Salvador, then it was Tonga, now it's Madeira and Prospera. Madeira and Prospera are independent regions within Portugal. Madeira is a beach resort. Most people know Madeira more than Prospera. And now they're saying that, Bitcoin is legal tender for their country. Same thing for Honduras. Honduras is an island nation just off the coast of the United States, close to it's pretty much Latin America. Same story, similar adoption. And we expect that from next year, we'll see some major countries getting into the adoption cycle. Next, we had this story about SEC approving another futures ETF. Again, they've refused to approve spot ETF for reasons I've explained time and time again here. Spot ETF does not give them the room to manipulate the price. And if you don't know, just understand that right now, Bitcoin now trades as a global commodity. Most Forex brokers globally are now able to offer Bitcoin trading, not the actual Bitcoin, but just trading the price. So people bet on contracts, Bitcoin contracts, and trade it like they're trading metals and they're trading commodities. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think it's probably why the price of Bitcoin is not moving as fast as it should, and why it's getting correlated with S&P 500 and the price of gold. So in terms of where we are, I think we're down to fear again. We were at 50% fear and greed index last week. Because of the price drop, there's a sudden shift in sentiment, I don't think it's anything to worry about. Like I will show you right now, I think we're still here between hope and optimism. And from a technical analysis, let me just run through the technical analysis. As I promised, today's going to be really, really snappy. If anybody remembered, I think it was it was beginning of March. Beginning of March, I drew this zigzag and I was saying that it looked like, and I drew this purple line, and I was saying that it looked like Bitcoin was forming an ascending triangle trying to break out of this purple line. And that we had a possibility that it breaks out and then it goes up, or it breaks out, come back to test this cluster of trend lines before breaking off. To be honest, when it broke out here, I just thought that this horizontal line was going to suffice. But what the price of Bitcoin has done now is to break out of this descending trend line. I tell you, and I kid you not, on a daily chart, this is an extremely bullish signal. As a matter of fact, institutions will be buying from right now. And I will not be surprised if we get a very massive candle out of the next 10 days on the price of Bitcoin, because what it means is that we've broken out of this descending trend, essentially. And the only thing holding us down is here. So until we get to 56 or 55K, there's really no turbulence expected, or there's really no ceiling expected, as it were. So this price movement has actually confirmed my forecast in terms of what the price of Bitcoin is likely to do. And it seems to be following suit exactly according to that pattern, because when we drew that pattern, I think we were just here at the time. Now it's followed that pattern all the way down, all the way up, and it's all the way down again. We've touched on 41K today, or just 42. Was it 42? Yeah, just 42. We've touched on 42K today and bounced. If the momentum we're talking about comes this weekend, then we're definitely going back to 45K. If it comes during the next week, then we can expect that we'll see some really volatile move actually above 47K, because 47K was like the limiting roof. 47, 48 was like the limiting roof for the initial price. Now that the price has taken a correction, give me a second, please. Let me just do a plot. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, next up is 54K for the price of Bitcoin. I can tell you that. So if you think you want to buy Bitcoin now, I would say buy. It's not a financial advice. If you buy at 54 and sell and buy at 45 and sell at 54, 20% decent gain, 20% plus actually. But I think this is a very good buy spot. I'd actually not looked at the daily charts for most of the week. I've been looking at the intraday charts, but just looking at what's happened today, I'm convinced more than ever before that we're going to see a thrust upward. Definitely a thrust back to 47, then beyond 47 to 50, and then to 54K. 54K will be somewhere around here. So if we don't go up in very rapid manner, if you keep going, yeah, that would be like 10. That would be too far. No, I think 54K is like next 2 weeks before the end of May. So end of May should be around here. Yeah, so end of May should be around here. So I think we get to 54K faster than that. Max 2 weeks. So is it a financial advice? Not a financial advice. It's just a signal call out to buy Bitcoin. I mean, what that means is that if you buy altcoins now, you might actually get a lot more than the 20% I've talked about on Bitcoin, because the price is going to shoot up. And as a matter of fact, again, like I said last week, historically, when you buy Bitcoin on the 1st of April, every year for the last 10 years, you are usually in profit within 2 weeks. So let's do a quick forecast here. This is 1st of April. If you bought Bitcoin at the close, which was at 46K, it says you'll be a profit in 14 days. 14 days from now is the 15th of April. I mean, from that time is the 15th of April. For any profit to be sizable, it has to be 50K and above. So, personal opinion, based on the chart and based on precedence, I think we'll see 50K plus within the next 2 weeks. Ethereum is not so different. Actually, I think Ethereum has been given a lot of resilience, to be honest. So Ethereum has formed the same double bottom pattern, and is also moving up almost in an ascending channel. And instead of, usually when you have the price drop like this, you expect it to come all the way down to like below 3,000. It literally did not come below 3,000 since beginning of April, and it has held, even after the drop, it has held above 3,000. So I think that's very, very significant, extremely significant. And for people that ask about signal, I think I just give you a free signal based on a solid long-term time frame. It's much more reliable than anything you can get on YouTube, guaranteed. Based on what I just told you, guaranteed. 2 weeks max. There's profit from today's prices. So that's everything I have for today. Yeah, as I've said, the tickets will be out this weekend for the Crypto Summit in Manchester. For people who want to join online, it's a giveaway price for people who want to join online. For people who show up physically, it's free. For VIP, it's 20 pounds. It promises to be very exciting. We'll talk about how to position in the crypto market, how to understand the cycles, how to plan for the long-term portfolio, and many other things that will be covered during this summit. It promises to be a much more robust one than the one in London. So that's it from my end. This week, it's a short one because I'm conscious that our Muslim brothers and sisters are fasting. And next week as well, I'm still contemplating whether or not we should have the summit, the Crypto Pulse weekly, but I'll probably try maybe something as short as this as well, just for 30 minutes on Good Friday. So thank you, everyone. If you have a question, if you're on the call, have a question, unmute your mic and go ahead. If you're on Instagram, just type in your question and I'll answer them. Other than that, I will want to wish everybody a very happy weekend and have a good time.